with wisdom that Cryan says. Yes, it's appropriate, and he gave you the reasons for it sometimes. But if you're going to separate a partnership, do it with integrity. Now, this comes right from Cryan. Do it in a way where you offer friendship. Do it with wisdom and do it with maturity. Never slam the door, no matter what the circumstances. Even if one does, don't you slam that door. Offer the other person your maturity all your life, and always give them the opportunity for forgiveness and discussion. Your cultural rules are often designed to look like they're also the rules of God. You know that. But often they're just the rules of humans who are doing their best without full understanding of how big God really is. Now, this is from me. You entered your relationship in love, dismiss it in love as well, and be compassionate with them and yourself. There may come a day, honestly, when you can both sit and discuss your good times together, believe it or not.
And I do believe it, Lee, because your previous wife, Jan Tober, has stayed integral with the Cryan work.
Yeah, she's one of your best friends.
Yeah, and we see Jan every week.
We do.
And it is an example of when you can get above the rules of humans and move into the love of spirit. So there's no rules of spirit. Yeah. There's just the love of spirit.
The love of spirit.
When you get beyond the rules of humans and be in the love of spirit, everything is possible.
Yep.
So we're going to take another question, and this is from Alex, and Alex is in Germany. Here's what Alex is saying. I was wondering about grief as my mother died earlier this day. Alex, we're so with you. Now, this question was answered previously, so it's not today that his mum died, but we're just still so with you as you've asked this question. So Alex continues, I am emotionally torn between my spiritual beliefs, which say that all is well on the other side, and my normal human reaction, which is over the loss, is the almost surreal idea that I will not be able to see her anymore. Does grief attract as every other emotion, or is there some leeway in this matter? This is a deep one for many, and it could be others have grieving the loss of a partner or a child, but Alex is asking about his mum and not being able to see her again.
Yeah, and he's asking whether the law of attraction applies. And this is truly what I'm getting at it. Alex, the law of attraction is it's not necessarily active in the case of grief. But let me explain this better. I want to review for those who have not heard this what this is. What has been called by many as the law of attraction is something that Cryan also teaches about, that even though he's never used it in those terms as law of attraction, it's kind of known as that. It's a physical consciousness attribute that says that what you think about or what you talk about, you bring to yourself. And it was so powerful in both light and dark, it's really telling to examine it. Cryan even asks, it's so powerful, what is on your menu order today? In other words, what are you thinking about? What are you talking about? What he means is that what you verbalize and what you think about all the time is what you often receive. People who are constantly telling everyone how depressed they are will often remain depressed. It's a given. They don't understand that their very verbalization is a reality and that the universe is just bringing them more because they seem to enjoy it. People who are constantly telling everyone how sick they are, and what's wrong with them. You know anybody like that? Will constantly be sick. Have you seen any of that for yourself? I think we all have. We've said it before. Hypochondriacs who fear everything will often attract what they fear since they constantly verbalize it to friends. Now, people who continually tell others that they're afraid of dying early, they often die early. This is the way of it. Have you noticed this? This is called often the law of attraction. Now, every day of your life, you see unhappy people perpetuating their own unhappiness. The opposite is true as well. Listen up, listen up. Those who affirm their healthiness bring it to themselves. Those who are joyful, they bring joy. Brian's right. It's almost as a menu that we order with our own consciousness of what we expect. So now let's address Alex's issue. So in light of this, Alex, you are wondering if this very understandable grief that you have right now regarding the loss of your mom will simply bring more grief because it's so heavy on you right now. Or is there some leeway, as you say, in all these energy actions? The answer is this, the real answer. There's more than just leeway. There's love. Our God is not in a vacuum and is very aware of this emotion that you have right now, that many of you might have in certain very similar circumstances. And where that comes from, right from the grief of the heart. There's great compassion from Spirit right now. And all the guides are around you, Alex. These are not usually lifetime grievance attributes, as you will find out and as you know. And they're only temporary life disturbances. But they also create a very compassionate opportunity for you to grow spiritually. That's an interesting thing. And they're, I would say, loving, sensitive times for you and for all those who go through these things. So your grieving times ahead will not create more grieving. And that's the answer to your question. However, and I have to say it, there is an exception in grieving to this loving attribute. If a person continues to grieve for a long period of time, and it actually defines their life, then again, it's like a menu where the grieving is something they have chosen and a regular event in their lives. And the attributes of the grief will then perpetuate and continue. In some ways, they're saying to the universe, take a look at me. I like this because I do it all the time, and I'm not interested in stopping it. That's what you say to the universe. Even though that may not be what you feel, that is what your actions show. But Alex, we all celebrate the life of your mom, and you and many of us have been where you are today and send you love and compassion.
And so I think with that, let's focus on creating an energy of support for everyone going through grief, because Alex, I know that it's still raw for you, and losing a mum is incredibly difficult. Losing a loved one, not being able to physically see them again, and even just to say, I love you, is incredibly difficult. So the first thing I invite all of us to do is to close our eyes and feel into connecting all together by imagining, sensing, feeling, or visualizing all of us in this moment holding each other's hands. And in holding each other's hands, we're going to just send an energetic communication of acknowledgement to those who are grieving. We see your pain. We acknowledge your loss. We acknowledge your grief. We see you. We acknowledge your sadness. Please know that we are here for you. You have a family. You have a group of old souls that are supporting you in this moment. And we have a message that every time you are feeling grief, the invitation is that you feel us around you, holding hands, giving a gentle hug, acknowledging you, supporting you, and loving you, and reminding you to allow yourself to feel the grief and know that as each day goes by, we will continue loving you and holding you until you move into that place where the grief can soften a little, and you can think of that person with a memory where you're not reduced to tears and devastation. Eventually you will get to that place where your heart will be bursting with joy at having had the opportunity to create such precious moments and memories together. And feeling that love and support, we will continue holding hands together and loving one another as we receive the message from Cryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Cryon of Magnetic Service. This entire month, the subject of the channelings is about timing. We started last week this entire series talking about the planet. Now we get into something a little more esoteric, and then next week, a little more personal. These are things that I have told you in passing before, in other channels, perhaps with other subjects. We did a channel regarding past lives, and in that we discussed some of the things I'm going to tell you today, but not all of them. We're going to talk about the timing of your incarnations. Yes, there is. We discussed at one time before the actual process of your coming and going. This has been a subject of so much interest to so many of you. Until we get to that place that is very non-linear and very unhuman-like, when we tell you that you've chosen your family and you get together as a group and choose what you're going to do next, and some of it is seemingly what you would never choose if you were here. That tells you what the mind of God is like. It tells you what happens on the other side of the veil that you don't have here. It tells you who you really are when you're not here. Again, dear ones, when you're on the other side of the veil, there is a mastery that occurs that is dynamically related to your lives on the planet. And that has to do with timing. What happens here in this lifetime will often determine the timing of the next. So let me explain. You come into the planet, you live many lives, and at some point in time, many of you start to awaken as an old soul. Not all of you, but many.